Welcome to my channel. I hope you're okay. So let's cover the great advancement Russia is making in Africa. So Russia has signed very big deals in many countries to construct nuclear power plants in more than five African countries. So these are very major developments because these nuclear power plants will help African countries to have enough electricity to industrialize. So I think while the West has been sleeping, Russia has been making progress in Africa. So we can call them, they're like the carpenter of Africa. So one of the first countries is Burkina Faso. So Ibrahim Traore, the Burkina Faso president, the young president, he signed the deal with the Russian company to build a nuclear power plant in Burkina Faso. So Burkina Faso is fast rising country, and they have expelled many Western countries like France from their country. But it seems like they have welcomed Russia to replace the West. The second country is Uganda, where the President Museveni also signed a deal with the Russian company, and even Chinese, I think, to build a nuclear power plant in Uganda. So Uganda, they have uranium deposits, which will be used to generate nuclear power in Uganda. Very good development. So Burkina Faso is there already. Uganda. The third one is Egypt. So even Egypt, which is an African giant, even them, they have signed a deal with the Russian company to build a nuclear power plant, I think, near Alexandria, the port of Alexandria there in Egypt. So Egypt, they seek to grow more industries and to industrialize, and therefore this power plant will help very much. And then, of course, another East African country is South Sudan, which also they have signed a deal with Russia to also build a nuclear power plant in South Sudan, which is Africa's youngest nation. So South Sudan President Salva Kiir went to Russia, I think last month, where he met Putin at Kremlin, and they signed those deals. And Salva Kiir said that Russia is Africa's biggest hope and option, because I think the West has really given Africa bad deals. So I think Salva Kiir spoke on behalf of African countries that it seems Russia is Africa's biggest option, best option for meaningful development. Then Mali is another country that has signed a deal with Russia to build nuclear power plant. So here's a picture of Mali leader on the right here. The Mali leader, even him, is signed a deal with Russia to build a nuclear power plant in Mali. So Mali has got a lot of gold, but the country is still very much poor because of poor development strategies. So on the left, here's a picture of, again, Mali leader with Putin. So Mali, Burkina Faso, they have both signed deals with Russia to build nuclear power plants. And of course, even Museveni of Uganda. So for Africa, what I can say is that we have hope. We have hope because these nuclear power plants, and you may be wondering why these power plants? Because most African countries use hydroelectric power, which only produce about some hundreds of megawatts. But nuclear power plants can generate thousands of megawatts, which is more than enough to industrialize and to make electricity cheaper. So countries like Uganda, I think even Mali, Niger, they have lots of uranium, which can be used to power these power plants. So Russia coming to help is a very big step forward. This shows us the West, which has been the ally of African countries like France and others, it's like they have not helped Africa in this area. That's why Russia is filling this gap. So it's a very big step forward. And Russia has taken the opportunity. They have not wasted time, and they have signed these deals with these countries. And I think from next year, the construction will start in earnest. Very positive development for Africa. Then on the Israel-Palestine war, which is continuing right now, again you see that Africa has stood on its ground. I know AU has been under pressure by the West mostly to support Israel alone in isolation. But AU, African Union, when this conflict broke up, they gave a very solid, independent statement, whereby AU called for ceasefire. They also recognized that Palestine have been denied their right to form their state. And that's the main cause of this conflict. That's what the AU report said. This shows that AU has become more independent-minded and more strong in its own beliefs. It can't be intimidated or bullied by the West or anybody else. That's a very good step forward by AU. So the AU secretary there made that statement that shows Africa's position. Of course, we have other African countries that have taken more extreme sides. Like South Africa, they have sided with Palestine much more. But few countries like Kenya, I think, is one of the few countries that have sided with Israel, which is very, very strange. But AU, positively, they have stood on their ground. They have called for ceasefire, protection of civilians, and that Palestine should be given their independent state as a solution to that conflict. And then after that, AU and Arab League, they had a joint meeting where they condemned the Gaza operation, which is going on right now, where civilians are being forced to flee. So AU and Arab League, they made a joint communique where they condemned the Gaza operation and they called for more peaceful resolution of that conflict. So in all this shows that AU is becoming more independent-minded. They don't fear anybody. They make their own decisions fairly without regard to the views of the West. Because Africa is an independent continent. So also the idea of Russia helping African countries to get nuclear power plant is a very good development. So generally you can see that Africa is growing very well, and the pace may seem slow, but I think we have hope for the future. Because nuclear power plants is a first step to industrialization. Also, the idea of African countries not selling raw materials, but instead processing them. So these are all good news. The Niger issue has been resolved, and I think France is soon to leave, among others. So now all our eyes are on the Israel-Palestine conflict, which is escalating. America has sent their warship, the same with the UK, and the two sides are hardening. Hamas is making threats, Hezbollah also, Iran. So we'll see how this thing goes and whether it will escalate further, or we hope that the two sides will come to a table, ceasefire, and they'll discuss this thing more peacefully, because currently many civilians are being killed, even children, women, civilians, especially in Gaza and even Israel. So we hope for more ceasefire and peace over this matter. So that's all for today, and I'll keep updating you about more developments, and let me see your comments in the comment section. Otherwise, thank you very much.